Last week on Sailing Adrift, we cut all the really expensive cables for our solar panels setup.
Got it?
Got it.
Then we ran that mess all the way from the pilot house to the aft cabin locker.
There.
We barely made it.
I fixed it.
That's what we're doing?
That's all we got.
Since then, we fixed it.
Today, we're gonna get going on our propane locker installation. A long time ago, I built the propane locker and installed it in the boat itself, but now we've got to do all the connections and all the things like that. I've got this whole box full of stuff for the propane locker, and it's just been sitting here waiting for its time to shine, and that day is today. This is high pressure hose that'll go to the barbecue. This is low pressure hose that'll go from the regulator to our stove in the galley. We've got a button, on-off button, that'll be part of the panel that will live in the galley, as well as a nice beauty ring for it and an alarm. So these things will kind of operate as the sniffer alarm. We also have the connector for the actual interior of the boat. So this will actually be what hooks up to the tank each time. That's a cable, and here's what we're looking for right here. This is a propane sniffer. I'm operating under the assumption that I can make this work. Has a sensor in there that closes the switch when it senses propane. We have a solenoid that is remote operated to open and close the propane flow from inside the boat. This is a waterproof relay for the solenoid, a switch to turn it on and off. That's just a pipe thread for a connector. There's a couple more 90s that we use as connectors. An LED light to tell us when the system is on. A pressure regulator valve. Some more fittings. That's it, that's all the things. Our propane locker is great. It's waterproof, it has a drain, it follows all the rules, except it's not quite big enough to accommodate that and all the fixtures or fittings that goes on it. So we've got room in the cabin that we're not using at all. I'm gonna cut out that black box, and we're gonna make a bit of a recessed area for the propane regulator and the solenoid and everything that has to live in the container, because you're not allowed to make any connections except for the final one outside of the propane locker in the boat. So the only thing we're allowed to do is come out of this with a hose and then go into the stove inside the house. And that's it, no other connections. So we're gonna cut this open and then kind of modify it, you'll see. All right, we gotta cut it out. There it is. Now we've made this propane locker completely ineffective, but we're gonna fix it. All right, I have kind of cleaned up the edges, not the bottom obviously, but let's test fit this thing. These are 100% fiberglass pieces. We'll epoxy them in place and then put one layer of fiberglass around the lip, just to ensure long term we won't have problems with water infiltration, because the box is made out of plywood. One piece. Okay, hold on. Let me work on this. Is everything annoying? There. Hey, dude. This is just baffling. All right, I'm gonna get this all set up, and then I'm going to come back when we're ready to squirt some thickened epoxy into the crackuses. There, it's in. It looks pretty good, I think. Nice and tight against the edges. We're gonna fill that all in with thickened epoxy, and then we'll glass over the rim. Then we'll have a real propane locker. One that houses the propane and the fittings. How about that? I don't need this anymore, but it's stuck. Ooh.
This is what the box looks like now, post fiberglass and epoxy.
Far from beautiful, but this just needs to be functional, and it will be. It'll be nice and waterproof, and I'll sand all these stalactites off when it's had a chance to harden. The annoying thing is it's getting pretty windy. We're supposed to have a wind advisory tonight, and a bunch of debris from the nearby nearby trees are falling into the container and landing on it. But luckily, I still have this, the lid.
Ew.
And don't worry, those aren't cracks. That's actually just the imprint of a leaf. So we'll let this clean up our mess here and let this harden. And then afterwards, we'll mount everything. I'm excited. This is a good solution. I was a little worried there for a while. This morning, doing a quick test. We're gonna fill this bad boy up with water, plug the vent drain that lives right down there with one of these. But first I'm gonna put a little water in there and give it a scrub-a-dub because it's obviously gross in there. I primed the inside of the new edition last night and that's nice and firm. I don't think we're gonna put a finish coat on it. Primer's good enough for the inside of that box. Just wanna protect it from the UVs because that fiberglass doesn't like the UVs. We wanna fill it up with water and make sure that it's not leaking into the boat, which would be bad, which means that propane gas could also leak into the boat. Okay, I see the water running, so we're good. It's a brisk morning here in Portland, so I'm not super excited about sticking my hand in cold water. But what can you do? Got my sponge right here. Okay, so it's nice and soapy in there. We're gonna let it run for a bit to kind of make sure that we clear out the drain of any debris. Looks like it's gotta be partially obstructed now because that's barely a trickle. So we gotta get our hands in there and clean that out. Yeah, that's a more appropriate flow. Get this nice and clean. And then we'll plug it. Here we go. Look at that thing work. I mean, yeah, we're cheating and we got it on the inside. And if you're using it in a boat, it'd be the equivalent of trying to keep the water out by plugging that thing. But it's working like a champ. There's not even a drizzle.
Curious how this is holding up on the inside?
Don't let the shininess fool you. That's just naked epoxy. But see that right over there? There's a definite drip over there. I can see it rolling down. These aren't good things. I never sealed it from the inside, and that's gonna have to be the next step. Oh, there. Did you see that drip? It's tiny, but we don't need propane leaking into the boat. That would be muy bad. So what I'll do is I'll mix up some more epoxy after we drain this and go all the way around the edges. So far I only see one spot, so it should be fairly easy to correct. Epoxy's tenacious. It's tenacious stuff, it sticks, and it's waterproof, so we should be good. So we'll just go around the whole edge and seal it up with some epoxy and we should be good to go. I'm gonna unplug it now and watch the water drain out. I don't want to get my shirt arm wet. I can't reach it. I'm so close. Got it. Look at that flow. The whole point of that drain right there is if there is any propane leaking out of the cylinder, it'll just go overboard and dissipate and not cause any problems and not turn our boat into a bomb, which is a bad thing.
Now that the box is fully leak-proof, it's time to start adding more holes and installing all the components.
Having a tough time there?
Nice time, make sure it's tight. Don't need any propane leaks.
Nope.
That'll blow up your boat. Take it from Uncle Chris, kids. Explosions on boats is bad. Okay, so here's what we got. This is the regulator and the solenoid. This solenoid is basically when you turn it on, it opens the valve, but when you turn it off, it closes the valve. So from inside the boat, you can just flip a switch and get propane gas. But when you're not using it, you can turn it off, and then you avoid that bomb thing we just talked about. What I need you to do is, I've pre-drilled 4 holes, and I need you to hold them up to the 4 holes, and then we'll mount this. And then lastly, we'll drill a hole in the side to make the gas connection. The hose that will go ultimately to our propane stove.
Why do you call it propane?
Because it's called propane.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's propane.
I looked on this website, propane and propane related products.
Alright.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, your job is to hold these in place while I screw.
That's what you said. I will do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So turn off the camera. Let's do this. Are you ready?
I am gearing up for positioning.
Okay, see how the top right one is sticking out a little bit?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it back, but that's where we're starting.
Okay.
Tell me when it's flush.
There.
Are we in?
Nailing it.
Is there a gap?
Nope. Looks good. Down right. Your left.
Okay, ready?
Nope. My hair is going to get wet.
Don't let it get wet, Kelly.
I gotta really stick my head in here.
gonna get ugly.
Okay.
Okay, holding. 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
We're not done yet.
After much fussing, we got all 4 drilled.
I give that like a rock and a shake. Go ahead, Kelly.
I'm gonna give it a rock and a shake.
You know what that is, don't you?
What?
That's solid as the day is long.
Yeah, it's in like sin. No comment? Nothing? You're done talking to me?
In like sin is not a statement. What does that even mean? In like sin makes no sense. There's no, like, that's not a thing. You don't just get to invent bullshit.
You get so mad.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Stop it. All right, now that we know where this is gonna live, right here, we need to mark where to make our penetrations for electrical and the pipe to go through. That should be good right there. Okay. Next, we will drill that hole. Here we go. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do from the inside because I like to finish the holes on the other side so it makes a nice clean exit wound. Because there is no exit wounds, 2 entry wounds. It's like if you get shot like this, blam! Both are clean and then the bullets smash in the middle. And they do that cool thing where they like shred around each other inside your body. We're getting there. That's a thick, it's a thick thing. That's what she said. And we're through. See? Yeah. See why when you're like, oh, I hurt my finger the other day, I'm like, every day. Bam, 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 bam. Like, look at that scar.
It's not
and
even
that
the,
scar and that scar.
The initial
and that cut and that puncture
infected.
and this scar. Mine get infected too, but I'm getting better at like making sure I neosporize them.
That's good.
It's important.
Yeah, because if that's how you die, then it's really on you.
Don't let it get that far, folks.
I won't.
Now we're going to do the epoxy thing we talked about. So we got to take this down. I'm going to give you the task of dipping the screws in the release wax while I go mix up the thickened epoxy and ream this out.
This stuff just keeps the screws from bonding to the epoxy, in the event that we ever need to take them out, which is hopefully never.
Captain Tard here, once again in the boat doing boat work poorly, because that's what Captain Tard does.
What are we doing now?
Reaming. I'm trying to get something in to the core here, but usually I use an Allen wrench and I can't seem to find one. See, nothing's like coming out. Would you do me a favor and check on the outside and see if there's product coming out? Because we gotta get some of this core out of the way so that the epoxy can seal this hole shut.
Yeah, there's stuff coming out.
Now the next step is to mix up some thickened epoxy, inject it in the holes, and then screw everything back together. What I need you to do while I go get the epoxy is put blue tape over the holes on the outside.
Oh.
That way when we put the epoxy in,
Don't get distracted.
anyway, and then put blue tape on the outside,
Okay.
and then I'll be back.
No gloves? That's how good you are?
All right, would you please take the tape off?
Next step.
We got it in.
Yeah.
Had given up was not an option. We had to get it in. What's that song?
Giving up's not an option, gotta get it in.
Giving up's not an option, gotta get it in. It's a song.
It's a song, yeah. You're right.
It's a real song. Sang by real people. There should be a hose up there. Do you see it?
Yep.
Not the one in plastic. The one loose by itself. That's not the one I was referring to, even though that also is a hose.
That's the only one.
Well, see, Kelly, it's not up here. I've taken it elsewhere. Excuse me, sir. Where'd I put it? This is what we need to plug in. See how it says solenoid around the sides?
Yeah?
That means that goes into the solenoid.
Did you write that on there?
I might have. So I'm gonna feed this through, and then we're gonna have to twist this whole hose to get it set because this doesn't swivel, which is annoying. But this side does, so it will only be annoying once. This is the hose that's going to go to the stove. So I'm gonna feed this through that little hole there. You help me by lining it up, and then we'll do this song and dance inside the boat. Here we go.
This is the hole to feed the hose into the engine room and route over to the other side of the boat.
What's that?
This is a rubber top hat fitting to avoid abrasion from the hole for the hose down the road.
Totes.
We're gonna need 4 of them along the way. All right, I may need you to handle this.
Get nice and cozy.
Down in the hole. Okay, hand me a top hat, please.
There you go.
Now drilling that hole up through the platform to the other side.
Well, we're gonna be cutting it close, but I think we'll make it.
Yeah,
We
that's.
also have to like make sure it can swing with the gimbal,
Oh,
which is the reason I'm scared, because otherwise it'd be fine. Yeah, I think I want to go look at the actual stove itself and just see how it attaches in the back. Break for research, and then reconvene.
Right.
But so far we haven't had to like stop for any stupid reasons. Have you noticed that?
I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not normal for
We're
us.
learning.
Let me get the box cutter.
Look what you've done.
I
Are you proud of yourself?
no.
This dough must ship on a pallet. Why don't you bring it out so it's not so babied? Nobody puts baby in a corner.
All right, here comes my watermelon.
Not in love with the look of that cutting board.
That's the cutting board?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
it
the
looks so
set-in
rough.
cutting board. Maybe you're designed to finish it.
Yeah,
Flip it over. Yeah,
That is naked.
you got to sand it down and oil it, I guess.
All right.
That, on the other hand, is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Want to know the major selling point? So this is the Dickinson Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And that means it has 3 burners instead of 2. And the reason why I was drawn to the Dickinson product line, this has by far the highest level of BTUs of any burner on the market. The Force 10s and everything else had like 7,000 or 9,000 BTU units. That bad boy back there will do 11, Kelly. Wow. They've dialed it up to 11. Haul it out of there. Be careful. Don't hold on to a knob. Way to muscle that out of there, babe.
Yep. Mediterranean.
So it says.
What do you think about it? Fonts?
Not a fan?
No.
Take the top off.
You take your time off.
This is their informal line. Their formal line is called Richardson. Ah, it's got a locking mechanism.
That's probably smart.
Yep,
Manuel.
sweet.
You're gonna need that.
That must be the interior burner. That's not a tray, is it?
Nice. Oh, there's a burner underneath it.
Yeah, so that just job is to distribute the heat around. You know, it's actually not that inspacious. Holy cow!
Wow, look at that.
Watch it not shut.
No.
Oh, that can't be right. I got it.
No, you're all the way back.
Wow, that was almost epic. And still, I'm impressed because I never thought that would even come close to fitting. Comes with 1 tray for 2 positions. It does have a broiler.
What more do you need?
It's so shiny in there. Look at the handsome photograph they put in the back.
Yeah, let's do a before and after.
What's that supposed to mean, Kelly?
You gonna take some B-reel of our oven?
No. And then we bought the gimbal kit so it can free swing. It has an automatic starter that is battery operated. Uses apparently 3 AA batteries. One of them can't be the same as the other 2. What is that?
That's an
That is-
Amazon Basics along with 2 Dinosaur.
That is interesting. That is definitely an Amazon Basics. We have tons of those.
Yeah.
It's a family company, so you know it's good. So pros, high BTU output, very reliable. People tend to love this oven. Cons for me, made of 304 stainless, not 316. We'll see how that works out. You know, inside it should be okay, but we'll, you know, here's the connection. It couldn't be any farther from where we want it to be.
Yeah,
so
that is unfortunate.
yeah, I mean, the absolute worst case scenario, we'll just get a slightly longer hose and replace the one we have. But I think we'll be okay. I really do.
I like your optimism.
Thank you. We'll need to know how far from the bottom of the oven that connection is.
Strategery, take 1. This now pulls all the slack out of his hose so we can run it properly.
What I need is my pilot bit, which I believe we snapped off this morning. But
Do you have another?
yeah, this one. Oh wait, that one's broken too. Now I need number 10 half-inch screw. Can you help me out? Dude, get your feet out of the way.
Sorry, man.
All right, I need another screw, babe. Yes.
You're welcome.
I think that this is it.
It's coming through.
And from the side, it'll literally attach like this.
Nice.
So as the thing swings, there's a lot less likelihood of there being a problem. Whatever we end up doing, we're not going to mess around and put strain on the freaking propane hose because that's just idiotic.
True.
But I think it'll work. Having it come in from the side and pipe in directly like this limits the amount of swing that we'll get.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
So,
that's all we can do for now because the rest of the propane lock or the propane installation will take place when we build out the galley. But we could go through our box, which is right up here, all the different components. The easy thing to do would be to go online and buy yourself a propane setup. One that has the solenoid that can turn on by a switch, and it has an alarm with a sniffer, so if the sniffer smells propane, it beeps at you and is like, oh no, and shuts off your system. The hard way is to try to put it together yourself. For some reason, that's the route I went.
oh, go figure.
Yeah. So I bought this, which is an alarm, and it's in pieces. This is how it came. I thought it'd be all one unit, but it's not.
Even the individual parts are in pieces.
Yeah.
Good God.
This is your alarm and light. And then I've got this LED. This is kind of the brains of the operation. Here's another switch just in case we need it. I can't remember why. This turns on the solenoid, which allows propane to flow through the system. This light will turn green, so we know that propane is flowing and we know that the system is on. So we can notice it and turn it off if we leave it on by accident, which we won't because we're responsible adults and we would never do that. This is kind of a crazy little sophisticated switch. Power comes in and then allows power to flow out unless power comes to something else. This guy right here, this thing right here, this device here, smells propane and turns on its own switch, which gets powered and routed up into this. So when the solenoid is operating and it lets that flow through, when everything's hunky-dory. But if this says, oh no, then this turns this off, but turns this on, which goes, alarm, alarm, something is wrong. And then this is a mute button.
What accent was that?
It's the lady from Austin Powers.
Oh.
So if the sniffer turns on, it turns off the power to the solenoid, which closes the solenoid because it's saying that there's propane detected in the bilge, which is where it goes because propane is heavier than air. And then we can be alerted by this loud ass alarm, and if it annoys us and everything's off and it's just silly and we need to turn on the blower for a while, then we can just hit this mute button and turn it off.
Okay.
Do you get it? Does that all make sense to you, Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It does. Yeah.
I'm thinking we'll probably just throw the mounting hardware on the ground.
Yeah, that's a good place for it.
You'll have the propane locker over there, the stove over here. Maybe we just put it above the big bilge pump, kind of in that area. So if any gas makes its down into that area, this thing will pick it up and detect it. Does that seem like a good spot to put it?
Sure. I guess.
That's what we'll do.
Okay.
Should we do the very last part of this install and go check out whether or not our propane tank is going to fit?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we already know that your standard go down to the hardware store and buy the prefab Rhino or Blue whatever propane the steel ones fit, but we also own an aluminum propane tank, which is a little bit more bulky. And that one was having trouble fitting, but when we modified the box, I think we've eliminated that problem. So let's go see.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we had a couple of challenges. One of them is this apparatus that has to be on the front of it, because if we didn't need this, we could literally just connect that green connector directly to this. But the reason why we have this thing, it's got a T on it that we can hook up the barbecue directly. So we'll just leave this coiled in there, and anytime we want to barbecue, we'll take it out of the top of the propane locker and run it to our barbecue, which will live right back here.
Smart.
The goal is to have this fit in the hole and onto that green thing without problems.
Hey.
I know it fits in the hole, it's just... But just like that, I think we're in business.
So we can use the Blue Rhino tanks if we ever needed to.
Yeah, they fit great. This one's bigger, so... And we'll probably, according to what I've seen, especially if you're around North America and stuff, you'll end up with those Blue Rhinos because it's hard to find places that'll refill propane tanks. So you just swap them out.
Makes sense.
Once we put the hinges on this lid here, it'll just look like that. It'll be a step.
All right. Success.
One more thing to cross off the list. Displayed here. How are my hands? Are they in the right spot?
Yeah, sure. I'll make it work.
Cool.
All right.
Wendy's.
Hey you, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw and you want to keep following along, become a subscriber. Just hit that subscribe button below. And special thanks to our patron crew. We really appreciate your support.
This is for the propane locker. Ah, my bird. He's so delightful. Compelling. Wow, the snark on you this morning. Don't shake your head at me, woman.
Fine.
I'll film you. Just because you stick your like a fork in an outlet doesn't mean you've been blown up, Kelly.
Wait till this truck passes.
What truck, Kelly? To what are you referring? Is this a good Hank Hill?
No, it's not.
Damn it. And just like that, that's how you break your drill bit.
Damn.
It's a thick thing. That's what she said. Who needs a big fat black hand? That's cool.
That's cool.
It's cool to have a big fat black hand. Get to the chopper. It's face down in this, and every time I breathe, this happens. Okay. Leo, whatever you want, Leo gets.